Let's have a look at the updates of where we are on each side. So I'll begin with the Dwarven side, because that is the side that's got real quick. So this is what's happened. The I mean, yes, the forces of Angmar have really consolidated that side of the pass. Remember, yesterday it was just a couple of bases. Well, not anymore. Not anymore at all. We have got a huge amount. I mean, it's pretty empty behind there, but making that crossing is not going to be fun. I've also found out that the different names affect the different levels. So things like scouts, like the low level, they send the rubbish, the scout, the grunts, the legionnaires. The things that you need to be looking out for, you know, maybe legionnaires are a little bit more powerful. The really powerful ones that send level 35 armies are the overseers. So he's over here for some reason on his own. I guess he's overseeing everything. So the overseer armies are tough. They send like 35s. I saw a guy was posting before, and he'd been hit by like 3 or 4 of them in a row. Man, they had destroyed his army. So it looks like when they're going to go somewhere, they kind of have like a lot of rubbish players, and then they have like just an overseer. And I can't remember the other one. If it's a legionnaire that also can have stronger armies, potentially. So be careful. But yeah, they have fortified the other side, and they have slowly started to push into the dwarves, who are trying to hold the line. There are forts around here, and I'm not sure they're doing too well, because they were much closer yesterday. They were kind of like just on this other side of the border. They have been pushed back. They've got more forts up here, and they're really fortifying behind it. You're also starting to see Alliance Fortress there has popped up for the Axes. That's the biggest dwarf faction over there. So they're taking things a bit seriously. Obviously, you see they've got 11 armies in there fortifying, and they've got some more bases that have teleported over to help, just to stop that tide. Now, somebody did point out this can mean that if you've not taken the city out early, and this happens, then it can become much more difficult for the dwarves anyway, to get over into there. So ideally, if you're playing a dwarf player, you probably want to try and get onto this other side and start fortifying this other side as soon as possible, if you're not going to take that city. So just as I was about to go to sleep, typical, same as yesterday, we get some action over here. So the dwarves have decided enough is enough, and they are going to flex their might, and a whole load of them have gathered together and decided to push. So we can see a fully fortified dwarven side have relocated their forces up here, and they have had enough, and they've smashed the crossing here with relative ease. They've claimed it, and as we can see, they are just about perfect timing. They are just about to destroy the other side of this crossing. I mean, it still provides plenty of problems potentially on that other side, but at least it pushes them back, because what was happening was with Angor on this side, they had spread sort of like up here, Angmar up to here, and it was just proving to be a wide front, so potentially like fighting going on everywhere. But here it's a pretty solid idea, pretty solid move, and they are going to take that, I would imagine. Waiting for the last bits to go in. Not quite sure of the mechanics here. I don't know why that's not gone. It seems to have... Oh, there we go. It is held. They've taken it, and they are reinforcing it. They are reinforcing it heavy, and I presume they'll then all click that guard button, and they will aim now to presumably push and start hitting the rest of these tiles. Let's have a quick flick to see what's going on in the world chat. Oh, that's pretty crazy. That's insane there, what Marth is saying. I did not realize, because I don't know if you're aware of this, but if you go and attack and somewhere is controlled by another faction already, then you have to declare war. That's pretty much the whole idea of the declare war feature. And if you don't declare war, then you are at a huge negative siege debuff. So there, I didn't realize it was that big. Minus 70% siege damage debuff. It makes it very, very hard to siege and destroy buildings then that are controlled and owned by another faction. And what Marth is saying here again is, because it counts as a player faction, you get the debuff, but you can't declare war on them. So that seems a really, really odd thing to have put in the game. We're going to add the NPCs, they're going to come and kill you, they're going to do huge amounts of damage, but actually we're going to debuff you. So that's going to be a pain to get into their cities and kill them. Yeah. So not quite so happy today. Interesting. So that's why it's going to be very, very tough for them to sort of like push back these locations. What they're probably going to have to do is just try and knock some out around the crossing, get into there, get the tiles, and get making things in there. Get some forts on the go. There we go. I mean, there's a long way left to go. And the problem they've got as well is, you know, some of them are attacking all the way from back out here. So that's sort of like a huge, long journey sort of thing until they can start claiming these tiles. I mean, now they control this. If they can get into some tiles, if they can seize control of one or two of these tiles. So there, it looks like they own this tile. So what they could do with doing is moving troops over, getting some forts up, and everybody guarding everything over here, just to try and get that protection going. Unfortunately, I fell asleep. Well, went to sleep, I was tired, and I missed the most exciting bits, as always. Isn't that just the truth? So we were over here in this fight for a long time, and we saw how it was kind of going between one side to the other. Well, yesterday what happened after the dwarves pushed hard, they managed to get all the way across into Gundabad Keep, and they actually sieged the city for a while. It's still down to 88% now. So they did really, really well. Pretty gutsy, impressive. They just pushed and pushed and pushed hard over the period of hours. I think when I was watching and fell asleep, they were kind of like about here, but with just a couple of scattered bases. I thought, oh, maybe they're just doing a bit of recon, but no. They kind of had a second wind, second gust. They pushed on after their stamina had recharged. They got all the way into the city, and they were hitting it pretty hard. But what happened was, I wasn't here, but I was told, chieftains, overseers, these really powerful guys just appeared along the back and just started reinforcing the city and pushing them back, and they just ran out of stamina, unfortunately. So they had to pull back, and slowly what's happened is they've just got pushed back further and further and further by the Angmar forces, who now solidifying their position over here, mainly with smaller bases. I only see one overseer over here. I imagine they'll be reinforcing, and unfortunately they managed to seize the other side, and they are now sieging the defensive line of the dwarves, who have held here. But as you can see, the dwarves are ready. I don't think there's going to be anything that the dwarves really have to worry about. They have fully padded up their back line, and they are ready to go. So I have no doubt that we're going to see sort of like a rematch, match 2 for tomorrow's daily update. And I would suspect if they managed to get all the way to that city with what they had, and they had to destroy all of this side that was fully powered up, if they don't linger too long, they should brush this aside relatively quickly. Then they should be able to get into the city, and they've got to deal with some of these bases around here. There's 1, 2, 2 overseers, like 3 or 4 chiefs or what have you. So I mean, that's not going to be as easy to knock them over. I'm hoping that when they get there, they destroy these side bases just to stop them from causing them problems, and I think they will do. And then we will see, hopefully, Gundabad will drop tomorrow and the dwarves will be victorious. The second area of interest is along this long border with the elves, and we were seeing them slowly push in. Yesterday they had like a line, it was pretty much closer to the mountains. Well, they have, I'm going to use my mouse, they have pushed in considerably on the map now. They are down the line. They have just kept up this heavy pace of continuous attacks all the way down, and we can see, let's see if any of the names that we saw yesterday that were on that border point still remain. There's Athenian, he was fighting yesterday, so he's here. So they are much closer than they were yesterday to him, I think. They're attacking his tiles now. They're coming down. We have some bases over here. I presume they're being sieged. Like I said, this line looks to be much further down, and either those other players have teleported away, or they have they've just been taken out. But yeah, we can see there are some people trying to hold on, but then we've got this line just all the way down. This tiles advance. So 2 sides where it's looking pretty painful. I think maybe if you're going to go and attack them, I don't know how easy it is to get up and around without them noticing. You're probably going to be wanting to be trying like sort of like sneak up through this way, and then try and sort of like get over and around. If you can get up here, you're actually probably not too far away from the city. I don't know the NPC how that's going to react. I'll keep an update, and when we do it, then I will let you know, so you can see how the dwarves and can hold off on that far east side, and how we can push up into this city. It might be something that happens maybe tomorrow. If it does, I'll record that. So where are we having success? Well, we are actually having reasonable success on our border, where we have pitched not a huge force, quite a small force, but I'm doing really well on this side, and I will show you how. So remember my idea yesterday that I had, not my idea, sorry, the idea that I was sharing about fortifying. So I have, I took this tile every so often. I'll just push forward because they'll increase their amount of armies on there, but they're only easy. So I'll go in with like a full power force and just wipe them all out with minimal losses. But this is what I've done. I took this location before. Doesn't really matter, but they normally would attack my fort. Inside my fort, I have my strongest army defending this. So I've got burnings, I've got bow archers, and I have Haldir, and I've got Haldir set on his heal bonus. So the burnings here are beasts, and Haldir's ability up on one of his sides here is recovers 100% hit points per round for your beasts. So it's pretty tasty along with the rest of his stuff, especially if you've got guide in there, so you're doing more damage and recovered 90% hit points modified by stats, bonus shot. So he's a really good character to have here on the border because he is healing rapidly. I'd imagine the same with Gandalf. I imagine the same with Pippin, Merlin and Pippin. Those type of armies, because they're going to be hitting you, you want to be healing so you're not losing too much. So look over here, I have a huge amount. Some of these are mob battles, but this is just, you know, in the last, well, 45 minutes, you can see I was hit here, and I lost just some cavalry. So I just keep sending cavalry over every so often. Then I was attacked again. I lost some cavalry, handful of cavalry. Again, I lost. Now a level 20 came over. This is a bit more painful. Kind of took out a few more cavalry, and then cavalry lost. So I'm pretty much just losing my cavalry. My burnings are actually healing so fast with his ability. I'm taking no loss from them. The only thing I'm losing is the cavalry, which I'm not healing as fast. So, I mean, this is pretty tidy idea. I'm sat here. I mean, you get trivial amounts of XP per battle. 300 or whatever, but I'm getting 10 battles every hour. Like I say, every so often when there's a load of armies up here, I may push up here just for a laugh, just to get using his stamina a little bit. If you do that, there is a cooldown for guard. It's about 20 minutes. Sometimes, like I say, if I'm losing too many troops, not losing too many, but after like 100 battles, I've naturally taken so much. So I will launch out, I will attack this, I'll recall him, and then they have to start attacking this tile. So while they're attacking that tile for a bit, I can send over my reinforcements, and then I can switch him back onto guard mode. I do have a second army over here as well, just to provide support, my cavalry, so I can rapidly redeploy it where needed. So this is a kind of a success. There's all these other people, but we've not actually got through to that yet. I do kind of want my hero back though. I had to abandon my post up here because it was costing me my main army, because that's got my heals. So that just went, and because I was defending it, I think me and Red were defending it for 24 hours. So we have left some more reinforcements to take it if need be. We'll rejoin there. Why did we do that? Well, we're focused over on this side, so we needed our forces. And I think Red also sent something over here. You can see now that these battle markers are starting to pop up everywhere where there is combat. So we're officially getting signs and notifications that war is happening in this area. I know that there are some Lothlorien players, elves, decided to relocate up here and put some armies in just to try and push up here to cause a little bit of a distraction, see if they could sort of help the dwarves by being on two fronts and draining some of their resupplies over there. It seems to be working a little bit. There are some forces coming down here, and they are reinforcing it just to try and stop. So they'll probably keep trying to push up to there. Maybe just to give a hand to the dwarves. We can see now these markers here, deaths, 103,000 there. They're up to 1.7 million dead over there. Axis and Angmar mainly taking the brunt of the forces. Geez, solid going, guys. And then here again as well, mainly Axis and Angmar with a little bit of Arab here, all those losses. Then we can see down here I mean, this was going on for a while. There was no real proper elf force up here, so they were just continuing down with little resistance going on. There is starting to be some resistance. People are starting to fortify points, defend them, to just hold back that growing line. I think I was a little bit wrong or just misjudged the other NPCs though, because I was looking down at these guys and there doesn't seem to be a lot going on with their expansion. So I thought, oh, maybe they would be, especially by today, they would have taken that crossing and they'd be well sort of like on their way to fight Mordor. So it's looking like they don't expand anywhere near as fast. They have not. I was wondering, I was like, oh my gosh, they have taken that crossing. They haven't. The orcs have just quickly redeployed up there to try and take that crossing, probably seen what has happened over to on the dwarf side and realized actually we need to be taking that. I think these guys just look in neutral from yesterday. I don't think that's moved up at all. So I don't know if the orcs are planning to go in there and siege, or whether the orcs are just in a holding position. I'm not sure because I think they just declared war with Gondor, so the two big factions fighting potentially in some locations. If that's the case, then they might not be able to fully push there and take out the witch bases. These are just still quiet, happy, and doing nothing. But I imagine it's something to be a little bit concerned about, because you see how fast these guys spawned over here, and they were controllable from the east push with the bridges, less so down here, more over here where we could slowly deal with the trickle of them coming down. I don't know how that's going to affect over here when they have free reign, how much, I've not really checked around the map to see how much free reign and how much access they have into the real world, but we will see. I hope that happens soon, because 8 factions. If you have 8 factions, get them going. Let's have some fun. Let's go from the beginning instead of this sort of this waiting. And of course, while I am waiting, I am just still getting more guys just coming over. Oh, they killed one. They killed one boy. Oh, you heathens! Just for this 348 XP. Actually, I noticed last night before I went to sleep, they had started to get into the game. Two things are kind of happening over here. One, the forces of Rhun did assemble over on this other side of the crossing, and it was a sight to behold. It was like here, and it was a full screen. They have since sort of redeployed down this thin, narrow line. I'm not even sure how far along they've got. Where are their forces? Where have they gone? There is a big war force. There we go. Okay, so this is how far they have progressed since, what time did I do the last update video? Like about 10 hours or so, they were starting to form together on the other side of that crossing. They are now already here. So they're from here to here. So give it sort of like another 10 hours. They're probably going to be marching by... Well, it depends how fast their progression, whether it changes. We should probably see them towards in that capital city if that's where they're going. Maybe in about 14, 15 hours, we'll see. If that's where they're going, if they're not going to come cause a pain. Now, Mordor have used the back door. Why? For now. And they have started to... I don't quite know what they were doing. They seem to have like a fortified position here on the crossing. Nobody here on the other side of the crossing, and then just random forts sort of inside this territory. So I'm not sure what they're doing, what their game plan is here. It will be interesting to see. It's difficult for me because both Rhun and Mordor are red for me, but they seem to have like just little bits of pieces all over yesterday. Some of that seems to have disappeared. So again, I'm not sure. I am not sure what their plans are. They've kind of got over here. They've got a few forces around here. I don't know if there are other people heading around here to give them support. It doesn't look like it, but they're going to probably need a lot more than that to fend them off. So it looks like we're going to see some action going on over here as well, which is pretty interesting. Good. I was worried that it was only going to be one-sided. So that is that's our update for today. We'll see how things have changed, and hopefully I'll be online to record bits and pieces with our day 3 update. Bye.